It is another edition of Inside Coverage here on Yahoo, a Tuesday edition with Week 10 mercifully in the rearview mirror. How about that 10-7 TNF MNF sandwich that we were served? Okay, we'll break that down. Also coming up, not only does Ladd McConkey join us, the Chargers' second-year wide receiver, we'll ask him how good it was to shut up those Steelers fans at SoFi on Sunday. We'll tell you where Frank Schwab has the Chargers ranked. Now, these aren't power rankings, where he has them seated in his playoff projections, because we're heading to Week 11. And not only is Jori Epstein here, by the way, I'm Andrew Siciliano, but Frank the Rank is here as well. He not only does power rankings, but he's going to set the playoff field. Guaranteed to be accurate, Frank, or 100%. Your money back. Yeah, right?
Indeed, yes. They never have gotten any power rankings wrong, any preseason predictions wrong, any playoff projections wrong. No, every time I get something wrong, I hear about it from not only the lovely readers of Yahoo.com, but my coworkers as well. I know you guys are ready to pick apart the playoff projections, and bring it on.
Well, let me do a better
Frank
tease, actually. Frank, are the Chargers, are Ladd McConkey's Chargers in Frank Schwab's playoff bracket in the American Football Conference? Tune in and find out.
I was going to say,
Jori, the look on your face,
that away yet.
There is intrigue.
Yeah,
I know, because despite taking a glimpse at this, I already forgot whether or not the Chargers are in. So I actually am curious. I resuspensed myself. But Frank, not only the rank, also the tank, because he is a machine for being able to pump out all the winners and losers and power rankings and playoff predictions and all of that. So you can always count on Frank to be able to take that 360 view and really give us a lot of different storylines distilled into one clear content piece.
So I am writing that down. I was writing down resuspense myself. I'm going to use that, Jori.
Is that a thing, or did you make that up?
Allow myself.
I think that's what happens when I lose things in my apartment, and I'm like, oh, the headphone that I need for the show that was on the ground before we started. Where is it? And it was suspense to see whether I'd find the thing that was definitely with me 4 seconds earlier.
You know what I did twice in the last 2 days? I couldn't find something. I'm wandering around my kitchen, kind of like the great room kitchen slash living room, kind of one room there, and I can't find something. And then I find it after 5 minutes of searching. And in both instances, it was behind my laptop. My laptop is open and it's on the counter, but just behind my laptop. Why wouldn't I think of looking there? But in each case, I knew the things were there, but I resuspensed myself. And I made a game.
It's good. It works.
I made a game. Look for the item that I should know where it is. Okay, cool. We'll get to Monday Night Football coming up in a second. This just in, the Eagles beat the Packers and the Packers are in crisis. We'll begin, however, with a story that's unfortunate, and it crossed our desk late Tuesday afternoon before we hopped on to do Inside Coverage. And we're here Monday through Thursday every week during your NFL season. And that is Travis Hunter is out for the year. And it's not exactly shocking. The Jaguars said they weren't sure how long he'd be on. They put him on injured reserve, the rookie, the second overall pick, the wide receiver / cornerback. They put him on injured reserve on Halloween, so he had to be out at least 4 weeks. But the news today is it's an LCL injury, not an A, not an M, an L, a lateral collateral ligament injury. That's it. Nothing more than that. They're going to go in, clean it up, and he will be back next year. Travis Hunter, when last we saw him, was in London. He kind of, it seemed, had the light come on. They made him the number one. Brian Thomas had been dropping footballs. He caught a touchdown in London, and he ends with 28 catches for 298 yards and that one touchdown. Defensively, 15 tackles, 3 PBUs. He played 67% of the time, 2 out of every 3 on offense, and 36% of the time, basically 1 out of every 3 on defense. Jaguars gave up a lot to move up to get him. They went from 5 to 2, so the Browns went down to 5 and took Mason Graham. Jacksonville also gave up a 2, which Cleveland used to take Quinshon Judkins, and they swapped places in the 4th, and then the Browns got next year's number 1. I think we all agree the jury is still out on both the trade and Travis Hunter. But Jori, I'm telling you right now, they're going to be think pieces written tomorrow morning about how the Jaguars have already lost this trade. I think it's unfair to the Jaguars. I think it's unfair to this young man who's trying to do something that has not been done in this era of modern professional football. He has shown flashes. I think it's unfortunate because the light just went on. I am willing to pump the brakes and think it's absolutely not right to judge a trade 6 months out. But it's going to happen.
I agree. And to me, this is less about whether or not the trade was worth it in the long haul and more about when you were trading for Travis Hunter, were you trading for him because you thought that he was one player who is really good, great, or two players who is really good? Because by the way, now when you lose an injury, you're losing a receiver and you're losing a cornerback, and you have to be realistic about that. We'll never be able to probably know for sure the degree to which playing 65.6 snaps per game, that excess number of snaps because he was playing on both sides of the ball, we don't know how much that specifically impacted this injury. But I think that we do know he was taking a different degree of wear and tear than the average NFL player. We do know that the NFL is more physically demanding than college football, even if he did it at an excellent level at college football. And yes, from an ability to pick things up, he had a great game in his last game. It was 8 catches, 104 yards, a touchdown. He definitely was coming on as a receiver and building that chemistry with Trevor Lawrence. But is it sustainable? The same way we're asking ourselves, is it sustainable for Jackson Dart to keep running this much for the Giants? Is it sustainable from a health standpoint, not a cognitive ability standpoint, for Travis Hunter to play this many snaps per game with the Jaguars and stay healthy?
Yeah, I think that's all very fair. And I still think he could do it. It just, look, he was a rookie. He was getting accustomed to the NFL, and you did see the light kind of turn on. Not just for Travis, but for the Jaguars too. Like, oh, this is how we can use him. Okay, now we understand where he's best on the field. And you saw that big game he had right before their bye, fluke injury in practice. That just happens. I haven't. There's definitely should be no think pieces written about this trade yet, because it's far from being determined whether the Jaguars won or lost or anything like that. But I do think about the 2025 Jaguars. Think of where they were a week ago. I mean, they just come off a win, kind of you escaped with a win against the Raiders, but the Colts had lost. You trade for Jacoby Myers. You feel like, hey, we're in this thing. You're up 29-10 against the Houston Texans. You lose that game. You lose Travis Hunter for the rest of the year. You're probably, you're not in the driver's seat of playoff spot anymore. You really have a climb to get there. Just a rough week or so for the Jaguars here. That, it just seems like their whole season went from, hey, we got some promise, to, oh yeah, this has turned really bad. I feel bad for Travis Hunter. I think he's a heck of a player. One of the truly unique, historic college players we've ever seen. I think he's going to be fine in the NFL too. And I think it was going to take a little bit more time than just, hey, we're going to stick a Travis Hunter out there week 1 and we know exactly how to use him and it's going to get the full results. It just was going to take a little bit of time. And I think we'll see more of that year too.
I'm convinced that if they just said, forget about the corner thing, this year you're only going to be a wide receiver, we would have seen much bigger numbers. We would have been able to work him into the offense more than just, hey, run a bubble, run a hitch, run it out, right? Little option route, little choice route here. There wasn't a lot of variety in the route tree for Travis Hunter. They finally started running some of those deep overs. They finally started running them downfield on a deep post. You saw the deep ball for the touchdown in London, and it made you wonder that, hey, if a third of the way or 40% of the way through the season, we're beginning to see this, where would he have been offensively if we had said, hey, son, I know you want to play corner. We're going to let you play a little corner, but let's pump the brakes on that. Let's say you're wide receiver 2. Brian Thomas is number 1. You're number 2. Let's go. And just make you a weapon. And if we want to, every now and then throw you on the field on third down, so be it. I think we'd see a much different result so far. Now, you can make the same argument defensively. Hey, say, Travis, you're a corner, and that's all that you are. You are a corner, and maybe we'll throw you in for some gadget plays offensively. Now, the downside of that is when you put a defensive player on the field as an offensive player, I mean, there's a big flashing neon sign there for the other side of the ball saying, keep an eye on this guy. They're probably going to run some trick, some kind of gadget or some kind of misdirection through this guy. So I don't know that would have worked. But I am, and maybe I'm in the minority, Jori, I'm more intrigued by him, not just from a fantasy perspective, but a fun perspective as a wide receiver. And we didn't see a lot of it.
Right. And to be clear, despite me questioning whether Travis Hunter can stay healthy doing this, I hope he can. It'd be fun if he can.
Same.
Like, I want this for him and for the sport. I just think that when I talked to coaches and scouts in the pre-draft process, they were hesitant about the ability of someone to do it. Now, what Travis Hunter will have working in his favor is that you hear all the time from guys that when they are in their rookie years, it's not just a lot in the sense that it's something new and they're at the professional level for the first time. It's also a lot because the entire offseason, they're playing college football late, and then they're going straight into combine prep. They've got Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl, some of them. They're getting ready for the draft. They're doing their pro days. Then they go straight into OTAs. So they really don't have an off season. And so I think it will be interesting to see not only when he recovers from this LCL surgery, but also just having an off season, having the ability to slow it down a little bit, give his body somewhat of a break, and focus a little more specifically on his assignments, which he should know because he'll have an idea of what they are from his rookie season. He does have a better chance of succeeding in this in year 2. And then if you say, well, why don't you still just primarily put him on one side? You do have to ask whether then the trade was worth it.
Yeah, I think real quick, I agree with completely, Jori. And saying like maybe they should have put him on just one side of the ball as a rookie. Then you don't have any clarity going into year 2. I think they do have some clarity now of, okay, this is how we structure it. This is how we structure his day. This is how we structure practice for him. This is how we structure training camp for him. And that's stuff they wouldn't have known. And I think it was smart to just throw him in a deep end and see what happens. Look, the Jaguars aren't a Super Bowl contender yet. They weren't going to be even if Travis Hunter hit his highest outcome as a rookie receiver or rookie cornerback. This is a unique player. There's no playbook for this. They're figuring out as they go. And I think it was right for them to just see, hey, let's see what he could do. And we'll adjust as we go. If he just cannot play cornerback in the NFL, well, okay, he's a full-time receiver then. But I think it was okay to go about it as they did. He just got hurt. It's just a fluke thing in practice. It happens. And that stinks for all of us because I really like watching him play. But I think this is just a growth process. And I think it's going to keep getting better and better for him.
Yeah, I agree. I'm rooting for him. Truly, I want to see the best for him. In the short term, what the Browns got is they went from 1 to 5. They got Mason Graham. It's hard to quantify how a defensive tackle on the stat sheet is doing week in, week out. I can tell you he got to the quarterback last week and forced an interception, hit Justin Fields, who threw it right to Ronnie Hickman. So you're seeing plays like that. They got the 36th pick, with which they drafted Quinshon Judkins. That has worked out well. And they got next year's number 1. So Mason Graham, Quinshon Judkins, and next year's number 1. So far, it looks good for the Browns. And I can tell you, they are certainly, or Browns fans are certainly keeping an eye on the scoreboard to see what Jacksonville does every week. Now, if you were keeping an eye on the scoreboard last night, Monday Night Football, the scoreboard really didn't move. Like, at all. It barely moved. It was scoreless. It was scoreless at halftime. Truly. And remember, on Thursday night, we opened Week 10 with a 10-7 snoozer in Frank's backyard. The offensively challenged Denver Broncos, with an exceptional defense, beat up on the lowly Raiders 10-7. This game was supposed to be different. This game between two teams was allegedly determining, although the Lions and Rams would like a word, as would the Seahawks, the top of the NFC. What a clunker. Now, I give Joe Buck, especially Joe, more than Troy, but Joe credit. They're both great. He was really selling it at halftime. Like, hey, there may be zeros on the scoreboard, but I'm telling you, this is a good game. Yeah. And obviously the snark started flowing on Twitter. It was a good game. Like, honestly, it was, until it wasn't. And at the end of the game, you're sitting there scratching your head going, I think the Eagles, Jori, this is my takeaway. The Eagles are still very much a championship contender. I don't have any less faith in them today than I did yesterday. Not Justin Fields. I'm sorry. Jalen Hurts is risk averse, but he makes plays. He had the deep ball, the explosive, the touchdown to Devontae Smith when they needed it most. They are able to run the football, maybe not as well as last year, but they can still run the football. Their defensive line, especially now with Jalen Phillips, is coming at you in waves. Look, they have a good team. But I look at the Packers absolutely differently today than I did yesterday morning. This does not look like a Super Bowl team. This is a team that has legitimate issues on the offensive side. And this is a team right now that I think is staring at the mirror, Jori, trying to figure out who the heck they are.
Right. When I look at the Eagles, I say they're not going to be firing on all cylinders in every game, but they have so many cylinders to fire on that even if they're not firing on some of them, they'll have another answer. They'll figure it out another way. So yeah, their offense definitely was slow for 3 quarters last night, but their defense figured it out. Didn't take Jalen Phillips any time to be acclimated after they traded the Dolphins a 3rd-round pick for him. And so I think when you look at the Packers, on the other hand, their defense is fantastic. I mean, the Micah Parsons trade does look good, and they're continuing to figure it out, and Jeff Hafley remains one of the top head coaching candidates for the next cycle. But on offense, they lost Tucker Kraft, who, I mean, we all saw on Sunday Night Football a couple weeks ago what he was able to do against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so you lose him. You're not with Matthew Golden, your 1st-round receiver pick. You have Romeo Doubs, who's kind of got this chest injury maybe. You lose a lineman. It's like all of a sudden they're a little bit lost. And so I do think that the Packers need to say, okay, if we're going back to the players not play mentality that we talked about on the show earlier this week as it related to the Patriots, the Packers offense has lost some players. Now, what are you going to do with other players to allow them to make plays?
The one thing I really need to address, I thought the first time I kind of heard it last night, I thought it was a joke. And then I realized it was a real thing. People from my fine home state of Wisconsin, I guess since the Badgers aren't firing Luke Fickell, they just want to move on and fire Matt LaFleur. Are you guys crazy?
Let's go there. Yeah.
Have you guys absolutely lost your minds? Matt LaFleur's career record is 72-36-1. Is he having his best season as an offensive play caller? No, he's not. Like that. But this smoke that, the Packers need to fire Matt LaFleur. Do you know how long it would take for Matt LaFleur's phone to ring after he got fired? Probably 2 minutes. Like I'm floored by this whole groundswell of Matt LaFleur. Like I don't understand why a couple losses, and they've been bad losses, but there's no shame in losing to the Eagles at home. I thought the Eagles defense, one of the kind of things about the NFL season, it's not being talked a lot about. The Eagles defense has not been anywhere near as good as it was last year. On Monday night it was. And I thought that was great for the Eagles. Everybody's, the Eagles offense, blah, blah, blah. No, the Eagles defense showing up like it did was a really big deal for their title defense. They could say, there's our defense from last year. Jalen Phillips obviously had an impact right away. And so the Packers struggled against a defense that won a Super Bowl last year, that played its best game of the season. That's not a reason to fire your head coach. This isn't the SEC. Like, we're not going to fire coaches over every single loss. This is just bananas to me that this is even a talking point in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Well, let's do the conversation here, and let's do it with the question that was actually asked to Matt LaFleur on the podium after a scintillating 10-7 loss to the Eagles, a game that heard legitimate boos from the stands at Lambeau. Here it is.
Matt, I understand you guys are 5-3-1, still have a playoff spot right now, and you're going to say you're always coaching for your job, but you don't have a long-term extension. With the way things have gone this season, do you think you're coaching for your job?
I'm not. I'll leave that for everybody else to decide. I'll just focus on the day-to-day and trying to do. I feel like you're always coaching for everything in this league. That's just my mindset. It's always been that way. You can't ever exhale. You got to always be pushing, and that's just my mindset. So. And that will be my mindset until they tell me not to coach anymore.
Woke up this morning and I opened my computer and Matt Schneidman, who is a fellow Syracuse alum, guy that covers the Packers, awesome dude, fantastic mustache, as in touch with anyone there, as in touch as anyone is there. And his headline was, and he didn't write the headline, but the story was, Matt LaFleur might be coaching for his job. You have a quarterback that was paid. There seems to be regression this year, Jori, with Jordan Love's play. And as was pointed out in the question there, neither Matt LaFleur nor Brian Gutekunst, the GM, has a contract beyond 2026. So at the end of this season, That's when Ed Policy, the new team president who took over, for the retiring Mark Murphy, is going to have to sit down and make a decision or let the coach and the GM go into a lame duck 2026. We all know that doesn't happen in the National Football League. So, yeah, the next 2 months are significant for Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, I understand where both sides are coming from, Frank. I think you make a good point that this is a coach who's gone 72-36-1 with the Packers. That's 66% winning percentage. He's been to the playoffs 6 times in 7 tries. He's won a few playoff games, made it to the conference championship. And they've had their 3 losses this season. But when you look at it, since 2018, when Matt LaFleur became head coach, which when I saw that he'd been there 7 years, I'm like, wow, that was quick. The Chiefs, the Bills, and the Ravens have more wins than the Packers in the regular season, but the Packers are 4th most wins, 78. Now, I get it's not only about regular season. I get that you want to have playoff resume to show, but this is a team that is consistently winning even with a quarterback transition. Now, I think they have some things to figure out on offense, but I think this is still a team and a coach that is at the best. Now, you could say, well, if Jeff Hafley, their defensive coordinator, is one of the hotter candidates, do you want to lose him so that you can keep Matt LaFleur? I still think that from a schematic standpoint and the coaching roles, I don't think they're going to find a better coach than Matt LaFleur. Now, from a personality standpoint, you can make that question of like, hey, well, how is Ed Policy going to feel from a culture standpoint? How do Ed and Matt feel? How do Matt and the team feel? Like those questions do come up. And when I was there in the off season, I was surprised that anyone was even considering this being a type of season where his job was not necessarily on the line, but at least being closely examined. And yes, as Matt LaFleur said, every single game is part of your resume. You're always coaching for your job. But to me, what was notable is that when Ed Policy, the new president, was asked about this in the offseason, he said that, quote, generally speaking, he doesn't like to have lame duck seasons. So generally speaking, he would not want Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst to not have an extension for next year. But okay, sometimes you make exceptions to this. So I guess for me, having grown up in Dallas in this league where they do lame duck years, and I saw that with Jason Garrett and I saw that with Mike McCarthy, it doesn't feel that weird. I'm not saying that they're necessarily going to earn the extension if they don't win a playoff game, but I don't think a lame duck year would be the worst thing. But maybe that's just my narrow-minded Jerry Jones has a way of doing things perspective.
I'm still floored. Matt LaFleur has the 14th best win percentage of all time among qualified coaches. He's got a better win percentage than Andy Reid and Bill Belichick. I get there's been a step back this year. Nobody's even arguing that, but I just don't get it. I'm so floored. Look at the New York Giants. They haven't hired a good coach since Tom Coughlin back in 2004 when they hired him. The chances of you hiring a coach better than Matt LaFleur with your next hire, pretty low. I don't understand where this talk is coming from. I just don't get it.
Yeah, if Matt LaFleur were fired tomorrow, he would be the head coach of the New York Giants by dinner. But if he wanted the job. Yeah, if he wanted the job. Or maybe go back to Tennessee, where he used to be the OC. I highly doubt that.
He'd be everybody's first call. Everybody's first call.
He'd be everybody's first call.
And I think Ed Policy knows that.
Yeah. You'd have to think.
Like, I hope Packers fans know that. They're really spoiled here. And I know Badgers fans,
they are.
Getting back to my alma mater, get chided for being spoiled because all of a sudden, Packers fans you still have a winning record. You're still going to the playoffs this year. Yes, you've had some bad losses. You didn't look good against the Philadelphia Eagles at home on Monday night. I'm rarely at a loss for words, guys, but I'm pretty much at a loss here because this absolutely floors me that this is even a talking point. Matt LaFleur is a really good head coach.
The other side of it is look, we gave up 2 number ones for Micah. All right, so we went all in. We gave you, meaning the front office, whatever, Goody or Ed Policy, whoever's pulling the trigger on those decisions. We're going all in. And the defense is doing the job. The offense is not. And we pay the quarterback, and the quarterback seemingly is taking a step back. We've been banging the table for years. We don't need a real number one. Let's spread the wealth all around our receivers, all around the room. Well, now, without Tucker Kraft-Out, who was the number one as a tight end, it's a lot different. I know Matthew Golden, who you finally took a wide receiver number one this year or in the first round, is banged up, and Jori laid out the injuries there. We got a long way to go in this season. But it is certainly one to watch because in their 3 losses, the Packers have allowed 39 points. All right, so in other words, the offense isn't doing the job. And when Josh Jacobs comes out after the game and says, hey, that 4th and 1, we went for it at the end. That 4th and 1 that the Eagles blew up, they called it out. The Eagles defense knew what we were going to run. They called it out. And, well, could you audible at it? But no, the clock is running down. We got to go fast. But, they had a light box. We figured it would still work. Nope, the O-line got whooped. They knew what was coming, and the O-line got whooped, and it was over. And that speaks maybe to bigger issues. I have no doubt that Matt LaFleur can fix those issues midseason. Spotlight is on, however, to fix them. Coming up, the Chargers have O-line issues, but they found a way around them. We'll talk to second-year wide receiver Ladd McConkey. He joins the show. And the star of the show, Frank Schwab, gives you his playoff bracket. Guaranteed accuracy on Inside Coverage. It is great to have this guy on the show, especially after such a huge win and a national TV audience on Sunday night. The Chargers beat the Steelers. Ladd McConkey, 4 for $107 and a touchdown. They've won 3 in a row. And Ladd McConkey on his day off is working for Dr. Pepper as well. Man, do you ever get a break?
We get some breaks, but the season's a grind, but this part of it.
Listen, I don't want to make this a, hey, there were a lot of Steeler fans there question. I want to make this a, how good was it to play well and shut them all up question. Ladd, like with the world watching, you shut all those Steelers fans up. Didn't that feel good?
Oh yeah, I mean, it definitely felt good to get a win, especially on Sunday Night Football. Like you said, everybody watching. Those are like moments when you're a kid that you're like, oh, I mean, I dreamed of playing on Sunday Night Football. So it was awesome to go out there. I feel like defense played good, special teams, offense. It was a great overall game.
When Sunday Night Football is in LA at SoFi, or Monday Night Football for that matter, or TNF, they always make a big deal of the celebrities that were there. Do you guys ever get caught up in that? You're smiling at all?
Try not to. Try to just focus on the game. You see it here and there on the jumbotron. But no, try to lock in. And be like, all right, let me focus on the game here.
Okay. Keenan Allen is the celebrity, obviously.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Late in the game, Ladd, he called his own number and he asked for the little pop pass because he needed one more to break Antonio Gates. Speaking of celebrities, who is in the house, his franchise record for receptions. And it's a pop pass. Like, Ladd, should that count? Isn't that kind of like cheating?
No, yeah, you get it how you can. No, for sure that one counts. And all the other, I don't know what was the exact number. I don't know how much it was, but
he got to 956, I think, is the number.
956. Dang, yeah. I mean, he's there's a lot of those other ones that that can count for sure. So he's a stud. It was so good to see him be able to get that, and especially at home in front of Gates and everything. I know he enjoyed it.
You said you told SVP after the game he could play 10 more years, which at that point he'd be 43. How long do you think his beard would be at 43?
If he lets it grow, it'd probably be pretty long. Keep shaving that head, get the bald head and the beard going. I know he has a kick out of that.
All right, joking aside, Justin has been hit. Your guy, Justin, has been hit, and there's been all kinds of injuries, obviously. I mean, it's a minor miracle that you guys keep finding bodies and you're making trades, and Trevor Penning is coming in, and you're doing everything to keep Justin upright. Is there ever a time, though, where you're like, oh, my God, geesh, like, he got another one. Like, is he going to get up?
He's tough as nails. If there's any possible way that he can stand up and keep playing another play, I know he's gonna, fight and claw and do whatever he's got to do to get up and do that.
What's he like in the huddle? Is he funny? Some quarterbacks are funny in the huddle. Some quarterbacks are dead serious in the huddle. What's Justin like in the huddle?
Calm, cool, collected. Not too joking. Not too like serious and rah. He's just like, guys, we know what we got to do. Let's go out and execute.
Is he a robot? Because some people have accused Justin of like being like a robot, a personality. But okay,
he's not a robot. He can joke around and have fun and be just like a normal guy.
with all those protection issues. And obviously, it's the injuries, and the injuries keep piling up seemingly every week. Has it changed how you have to play? I assume Greg Roman's calling stuff. We're not calling like long developing routes, right? You're not running nines every single. That's not your game necessarily every single play. But are you changing the way you have to play? Are you getting your head around faster? Or are you saying, all right, I gotta cut this off faster and be more decisive in my routes because my guy's getting killed back there sometimes?
I try to, play my game the same way. Obviously, there's times if you see blitz, you see stuff clear, like you can cut your route short a little bit, but really just try to be decisive. Like, if they're getting pressure, whatever may be the case. Don't 1, 2, 3 at the top always. It's like, all right, let's stick and run away and get open when you have to.
I'm talking to Ladd McConkey here at the Chargers, who go to 7-3. They got Jacksonville coming up. That game's on the road. You got to give your defense some credit here as well, Ladd. You allow fewer than 250 yards for the third straight game, this time for the longest streak since 2019. Last night it was 221, 10 points for Aaron Rodgers on 12 drives. And I know when you're on the sideline, you could see him getting frustrated. How obvious was that?
I just know our defense played lights out. 2 turnovers. Well, they had 2 picks.
Yep.
K-Mac had the safety. We got one on special teams, so it's always good when our defense is doing that. And they kept us in that game, got us good field position time after time again, and we punched it in a few times.
All right, tell me about Jesse Minter's defense because look, you guys play a lot of zone. Obviously, you never know where that rush is coming from. You might be showing 5 and 5 go, but it's not the 5th guy who's up there. He drops and someone else is going. All these disguised coverages. When you practice against it, like, can you read it? Is it unlocked? Can you stand on the sideline and watch, say, Aaron Rodgers, who's pretty much seen everything? Like, he may not see it, but you see what's coming?
In training camp, we were going against them. They were doing stuff that I'd be mad leaving practice, had me fooled. So those guys, Jesse does a good job of scheming those guys up. We got some great players over there making good plays, and I'm glad that our defense, that stat's pretty cool. I didn't realize it was, the longest streak since 2019. So they've been playing lights out.
Yeah, they've been playing lights out. And now you go to Jacksonville. I did my research here. You at the world's greatest cocktail party or largest cocktail party. I don't believe you've ever lost in that building in Jacksonville, right?
In college, no, I don't. Actually, my freshman year, Florida beat us.
Okay, I'm sorry. Bad research. But you weren't playing.
But I wasn't playing.
Were you playing?
I was not playing.
See, there you go.
I was
actually on your record.
It's actually crazy. I was actually in the stands. I was watching the game. I was there watching it.
Last thing here. It's Andrew Ladd McConkey. As a guy named Andrew, that's my name. Yep. Like, why'd you drop the Andrew, Ladd?
I've always went by Ladd. I don't know, ever since I was little. Like, I was never called Andrew. I don't know. Andrew's a family name. So me, my brother, and my sister, we all go by our middle names. So I don't know why. I don't know why my parents did that.
Yeah,
but
blame your parents.
Yeah, blame my parents.
blame your parents. Hey, I had no idea. I had no idea your first name was Andrew. My first reaction was, well, it's a totally good name. Why wouldn't you use it? But Ladd also works. It's certainly working after another touchdown and another Charger victory. It is on to Jacksonville. Ladd McConkey here for Dr. Pepper, the Pepper Portal ahead of the Georgia-Texas game. Hey, Ladd, thanks for doing this, man. Continued success.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Ladd McConkey on Inside Coverage. Yeah, somewhat big game in the SEC coming up this week between Georgia and Texas. Big games in the NFL as well. Andrew Siciliano, Jori Epstein, and Frank Schwab here, specifically in the AFC North. A couple of weeks ago, you had the Bengals on TNF stun the Steelers. Now it's the rematch in Pittsburgh. And Aaron Rodgers is coming off his worst game of the year, and really his worst game with a pretty good supporting cast in a long, long time. Mike Tomlin was asked today, Tuesday, about his level of concern.
With Aaron not having a good day, the high throws, some of those misses, are there any long-term concerns of things that have been recurring with him specifically in that game, or is it just an off night?
I'm not going to chalk it up to an off night, but there are no long-term concerns.
Like when you say you're not going to chalk it up to an off night, but no long-term concerns, is that because of Jesse Minter, or is there something else?
I'm just not going to allow your words to be my words. That's all.
How would you describe Aaron's?
Sunday night was what it was, but I have no long-term reservations about his ability to play the position and play the position at a high level for us.
All right, tip of the cap. I'm pretty sure that was Brooke Pryor. Good job, Brooke. Yeah, it was. Going back in, you're throwing it back in my face like you always do. Not necessarily to Brooke, but Mike Tomlin is good. Sparring, jabbing, ducking, weaving on a Tuesday podium. But you can see also like he's nodding his head when Brooke first said off game. So he was kind of agreeing there with his nodding of the head. Me reading his body language. I'd be concerned. I would. Because they, like we laid out yesterday, they have to beat the Bengals this week. They're signing every DB imaginable, including Asante Samuel Jr., to the practice squad today. The Steelers have a formula. It's basically 7 offensive linemen, Darnell Washington and an extra eligible, Spencer Anderson. And when that doesn't work, their offense doesn't work. Now, Jori, they are facing the Bengals on Sunday, an awful, awful defense. But the Aaron Rodgers we saw Sunday night is not going to get them beyond the wild card round.
Yeah, I think in terms of the short-term future, we saw that the Bengals made Aaron Rodgers look a lot younger than he looks. And so I think that he will have a bounce-back game. I think that he will be able to, at least this coming week, feel like the game against the Chargers was an off day. But I think in the broader scheme of things, and I am a little biased here. Brooke's one of my best friends. She was one of my bridesmaids a couple months ago. So keep all of that in mind from my perspective. We love transparency. But when Brooke was asking Mike Tomlin about Aaron Rodgers having an off day, and he said, I don't want to use her off night. He said, I don't want to use the term off night because I don't want your words to be my words. Well, Brooke was using Aaron Rodgers' words. He was the one who initially said that he felt off. And so Brooke was actually kind of saying, here's the player's perspective. Why do you feel like that was the case? I think nonetheless, you can say that the Chargers defense is strong, but I was at the Chargers game against the Giants earlier this season, and Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo did not have nearly the amount of trouble that Aaron Rodgers did. Now, some of this is styles make fights, and I think that their playing styles are very different, and maybe you just need a little bit of mobility against the Chargers. But Aaron Rodgers had by far his worst game of the season, his worst passer rating, and I also think at some point you have to say, like, you got to be able to stay on the field, and that's what Mike Tomlin kept saying also when he was asked about the run game today, which was, hey, if we can't keep these possessions going, we're not going to be able to do run game. We're not going to have pass game. And Aaron Rodgers and his weapons are just not on the same page right now.
I feel like I'm being really ageist this week after talking about Bill Belichick yesterday, but I got to talk about Aaron Rodgers and the history of quarterbacks his age. We're in the 106th season of NFL football. In the first 105 seasons, there was one quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' age. He's 41. He's going to turn 42 next month. One quarterback who's had any level of success, a passer rating above 80. That was Tom Brady. And he did it time after time after time. Tom Brady's just a freak. He's absolutely a freak. He's Nolan Ryan. He's LeBron James. Whatever endurance, old man, baller freak he is, he was. He is not the new rule. Aaron Rodgers is an old quarterback, and he's basically the second best old quarterback of all time. There are going to be games like this, and it would not shock me at all if what we saw on Sunday night was the beginning of a really rapid descent for him. I'm not rooting for it. Aaron Rodgers had a great career. I thought it was a great story what he was doing early in the year, but a lot of this great story was masked by, the Steelers pulling wins out of the fire when the Patriots turn it over 5 times. I mean, stuff like that. Aaron Rodgers' ADOT is unbelievably low this year. He's just throwing at the line of scrimmage. He just wants to get rid of the ball. He doesn't want to get hit. I get it. He's old. Don't want to get hit by 290-pound linemen. Makes sense to me. But I think what we're going to see is just Aaron Rodgers. It's not going to get better. Once, but our good friend, Yahoo Sports, Scott Pianowski, a line I use all the time. Once the milk goes bad, it usually doesn't go good again. Right? And I think what we've seen out of Aaron Rodgers is the milk going bad. Look, Jesse Minter is a great defensive coordinator. He's going to be head coach next year, I think. but it just looked bad for Aaron Rodgers. In many ways, that was not just the worst game for Aaron Rodgers in a while. That was the worst game of Aaron Rodgers' career. He had a 19.5 passer rating before garbage time. That would have been the worst of his career. And I just think this is where he is. And the offense they're running with the extra linemen, with the 3 tight ends, it makes for a really, really slow unit out there. All they're going to be doing is stuff really near the line of scrimmage. They need to be able to line up with those formations and knock people off the ball and rush for 200 yards a game like they're the 2024 Ravens. They can't do that. They're not doing that. And when you rely on Aaron Rodgers, this ain't 2013 Aaron Rodgers anymore. This is a 41-year-old man who's about ready to turn 42. And guys that age don't play well at quarterback. I'm sorry. There's a lot of history involved here. I just don't see it going well for Aaron Rodgers the second half of the season. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be a great story. First half of the season was a great story when they were out in front of the AFC North, but I just don't see it. This is just an age thing. Father time comes for everybody, and I think it's coming for Aaron Rodgers, and I thought we saw the first signs of that on Sunday night.
All right, so a couple of things here. Your point about him at or behind the line of scrimmage consistently, you're 100% right. It was also the same way he played last year. So this idea of I'm getting it out quickly, nothing's going to develop. If I am throwing it downfield, it's going to be a 3-step slant or a back shoulder to the outside. That's how he played last year. It's the exact same style. And as we're talking about there with Ladd McConkey, look, with Jesse Minter, you never know where the blitz is coming from. Kind of like Mike McDonald in Seattle. He's a heck of a DC, as you said. And to watch Aaron Rodgers not know necessarily, like the best of them all, the guy that has seen it all, to not know where the blitz is coming from, get hit a few times, and saying, I'm getting it out faster than ever, and that lead to 2 picks. Tip of the cap to Jesse Minter, and I'm with you. Like, all right, this might be it for Aaron Rodgers, which is why the Bengals defense is either the greatest get well and turn around answer for Rodgers and the Steelers, or we're sitting here next Monday saying the Steelers are going nowhere and Joe Burrow is coming back, like I said yesterday. Coming up next, Frank Schwab, playoff brackets. Frank will rank and tell you what January looks like. Coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Back on Inside Coverage. After Week 10, looking at Week 11. We are well past now the official halfway point of the season. My name is Andrew Siciliano. Jori Epstein is here as well. And also here, the men you should direct your ire. Actually, no. You know what? I'm not going to be that guy. So you should direct your praise. You should celebrate Frank Schwab, not with his power rankings. They're already available. Check Frank out on X. Go to Yahoo's NFL page. Check him out. But coming up on Wednesday, there are the power rankings. All right. So we got the Eagles 1, the Colts 2. We have the NFC West at 3 and 4. The Chiefs. Who is that? Oh, the Lions. I can't read my screen. The Broncos. I have bad eyes.
Small.
Yeah. Okay. The Pats, the Eagles, and he still has the Buffalo Bills in the top 10. All right. So those are the power rankings. Everyone does power rankings. Nobody heading into Week 11 gives you a playoff bracket. So this comes out on Tuesday. Do Frank's playoff bracket. Remember,
bracketology, baby.
7 teams each conference. Yeah. Okay. So Frank in the NFC has the Philadelphia Eagles as your number 1 seed, which means they get home field advantage. Frank has the Seahawks as the 2, the Lions winning the North as the 3, the Buccaneers as the 4 seed, and then he has 2 more teams out of the NFC West, the Rams as the 5 seed. Remember, the Rams and the Seahawks play each other coming up this week. That game's at SoFi. Quentin Lake will join the show tomorrow. The Packers, Matt Fleur doesn't get fired as the 6th seed, and the 49ers as the 7th seed. Jori, I'm going to let you begin the oral arguments. You've seen Frank's dissertation. Your first question to Frank with his NFC bracket.
Frank, have you seen what Matthew Stafford has done this year? And if so, why do you still believe the Seahawks are going to win the division and the Rams will just be a wild card team?
Yeah, Frank.
I just have, you got to pick a lane because these two teams both deserve to be in the top 4 of the league. By the way, the Seahawks have an argument for number 1 at this point. I just believe in the Seahawks a little bit more. I think what Sam Darnold's doing is what he did last year. Like, he's really good. That defense is awesome. I just believe in the Seahawks just a little bit more to win that division. It's going to be a great game on Sunday. They obviously play in LA. They have a return match on a Thursday night in Seattle a little bit later in the season. It's a coin flip, though. It's very hard to pick between these two teams because Matthew Stafford, I think the stat is since week 3, he's thrown 20 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's unbelievable. Puka Nakua is awesome. That defense is good. Sean McVay is a genius. Blah, blah, blah. It's picking between two children at this point. How do you do it? How do you pick one over the other? I got to pick a lane. I'm going with the Seahawks here, but I completely understand. Trust me, I have a lot of Rams fans, good friends in my life. They let me hear about it all the time when I don't have them high enough on my power rankings, or in this case, high enough in my bracket.
I think the Rams are the best team in the NFC. However, their schedule does them no favors. They get the Seahawks, as mentioned, then the Buccaneers at home in 2 weeks. The Buccaneers, the official 4-seed emeritus of the NFC. They will win the NFC South by default because, what else is the NFC South? So the 4-seed emeritus in the NFC. And then they go to Carolina, which is not an easy game, talking the Rams schedule here, and that at Arizona. Then they still have the Lions, the Seahawks, the Falcons, and then the Cardinals again, Week 18. I don't think it's an easy road, but I do think they are the best team in the NFC. My question, Frank, is about a team that you don't have making the postseason, and that is the 6-3 Chicago Bears. Why don't you, Frank Schwab, believe in Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson?
What did Ben Johnson do to you?
Team that should have lost to the Giants on Sunday. Why don't I believe in them? The team that should have lost to the Bengals a week before.
The Broncos should have lost to half the teams they played this
half
year.
the teams they
but
should
they
play,
didn't.
And I still have them winning the West, as we'll talk about. I just don't think this is sustainable for the Bears. They still play in a really, really, really tough division. So there's a lot of tough games coming up. And you got to make a choice here. And I chose the 49ers because when you look at the 49ers schedule, don't have it in front of me, but you can look it up easily. Their next 4 games are going to be heavy favorites in each one. If they handle business, and I trust Kyle Shanahan to handle business in games they should win, they're 10-4. Like, they're making the playoffs at that point. You just need to kind of stumble in one more win in your last 3. I think that's why I picked the 49ers for that last spot. And also, I don't think this is sustainable for the Bears. I don't think they keep winning this way. Again, they got outplayed by the Giants for 3 quarters. And if Jackson Dart doesn't get a concussion, they're going to lose that game at home to the Giants. So it's just, you got to pick somebody. I picked the 49ers because I think they win these next 4 games and put themselves in a position to really lock up a wildcard spot.
All right. So let's look at the Niners schedule here. Because you mentioned their schedule. They go to Arizona this week.
They should win their next 4.
Then they get Carolina at home on Thursday night. You have no respect for the Panthers, clearly.
None.
Then they go to Cleveland the Sunday after Thanksgiving.
Sorry, Andrew.
2023, they lost. They were undefeated in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Yours truly called that game the very first game I called. Do you expect that to
happen this year, Andrew?
Who's playing quarterback week 13?
Yeah, I think that might be a Shedeur game, huh? By that point.
Who knows?
I'm not sure any of the quarterbacks are going to be.
Who knows? Then they get a bye. Then they play the fighting Cam Wards. Then they go to Indy.
Easy.
Then they get the Bears. They get back-to-back. The Niners still have 3 primetime games, and that's not even taking into account what is a very, very, very flexible into game 272, week 18, home game against the Seahawks. So,
if they handle business, if they're at 11 wins, that game might have some meaning. I mean, I think, they play the Bears late in the year. That might be the wild card, like, play-in game at that point.
Yeah. I mean, that could be. I mean, who knows? Who knows? They could have 4 primetime games left the last 2 months of the season somehow. Maybe Brock Purdy comes back and doesn't play well, and Mac Jones is back at quarterback.
You're just stirring up that drama.
Amazingly, though, the Niners are the type of team that whichever quarterback they play, I still think I'm going to believe in them because they've shown they could win with both of them.
I agree. Yeah, but they have so many injuries. Eventually, those injuries.
Kyle's awesome. Kyle's having a heck of a year.
do not rush the passer. Teams that do not rush the passer generally don't make the playoffs. When I say they don't rush the passer, I mean, they have no pass rush. It ain't there. But Kyle, to his credit, and Robert Saleh are coaching them.
Yeah, Saleh's having a great year too.
And Robert Saleh coaching them to a great record. All right, that's the NFC. Let's look at the AFC. Frank in the AFC. He has the Colts as the number 2 team in his power ranking, so you better believe he's going to put them as the number 1 seed in the AFC. I mean, I'm not a betting man, and I don't, for recreational purposes only.
Me either.
I have no idea what the odds you could have gotten before the season were, but just the concept, forget the odds for a second, the concept that the road to the Super Bowl in the American Football Conference, according to Frank Schwab, runs through Lucas Oil, that is absurd. And if it isn't there, then it could be middle of nowhere, Massachusetts, because Frank has the Patriots at 2. He has the offensively challenged Broncos at 3. He has the Ravens winning the AFC North, the Bills as a 5 seed. So they're not going to win the division for the first time in recent memory. The Chiefs as a 6 seed, and the LA Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers of Los Angeles, as the 7 seed. Jori, we open the floor to you, as we did in the NFC. Your first questioning of Frank for his American Football Conference bracket.
Yeah, Frank, I don't disagree with you that the Bills and the Chiefs and the Ravens or at least the Bills and the Chiefs, I should say, are not going to win their division. But if I were to ask you now, you have to place your bet. Who is representing the AFC in the Super Bowl? And Pool 1 has the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Ravens. And Pool 2 has the Colts, Patriots, and Broncos. Are you more willing to bet that either Bills, Chiefs, or Ravens will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, or Colts, Patriots, Broncos?
Wow, you just cut the Chargers
Ravens
right out of it.
Yeah, the Chargers getting no respect around here. Jori, wow.
Because it's the Josh
all
Allen,
12
Lamar
Chargers
Jackson
fans are coming after you, all right?
Can we get Ladd McConkey back on the line?
Well, yeah, right? Like, Ladd not doing that anymore. Ladd,
if you want to go Chargers, you can take him straight up.
So young. I whatever bucket of teams the Ravens is in, because I think the Ravens win the AFC this year. There you go.
They win the AFC.
Right, I said this.
Not the AFC North.
Absolutely.
You think they win the AFC.
This is how sports works. So you've seen the stories like this play out. When the Ravens have been in the driver's seat and they've been the number 1 seed, they've had these awful losses. And now this year, when everybody gave up on the Baltimore Ravens, they were 1-5. This is the year Lamar Jackson cashes in and makes a Super Bowl. I fully believe that.
Okay.
I think the Ravens,
Frank,
are going to the Super Bowl.
Are you saying that because you're sticking with the pick you made in August?
Yes, Andrew.
Or
absolutely.
Are you saying it because you still believe it?
I believe in Lamar Jackson. I still think Lamar Jackson's the best player in the NFL. He's not going to win MVP this year, but I think Lamar Jackson's the best player in the NFL. I believe in John Harbaugh. I think that defense is showing signs of improvement. They still have Derrick Henry for those cold games. And I just think kind of like Peyton Manning winning in 2015, I think the football gods owe Lamar one here. And I don't trust anybody kind of above them. You talk about the Colts. Do I really think Daniel Jones is making a Super Bowl? No, honestly, if I had to be that way. The Broncos, the Broncos defense is not getting enough respect. When we talk about the Broncos, first thing that gets brought up all the time, Broncos offense stinks. Yeah, of course their offense stinks. Their defense is awesome. Okay, but I still don't trust. I would pick the Ravens over them. I would pick the Ravens over the Patriots too. The Patriots are a good team they're the Commanders of this year. A very, very good team that's not quite there yet. Their defense still isn't all the way there. They've gotten really lucky with a soft schedule. They have quality wins too. They've validated everything. Which team above the Ravens among those division winners do I really trust over the Ravens? None of them. None of them at all.
Yeah, I don't know that I trust either of them, but I still do trust the Chiefs if and when they get in. So the way your bracket lays out right now, you have the Chiefs visiting Denver on Wild Card Weekend. They have yet to play this year. They played twice, obviously, in division. If you throw out Week 18 from a year ago, which I'm going to throw it out because Carson Wentz started and the Chiefs played nobody, the Broncos haven't beaten the Chiefs since like the 80s.
Carson Wentz was a starting quarterback in the NFL this year.
Yeah, I know. But it didn't count. Like, go back and watch quarterback. Joe Burrow's on the couch. Yeah. Joe Burrow's on the couch watching that game, and they need the Chiefs to win. And he's like, it's not going to happen, and it's our fault. Like, we put ourselves in this situation. Okay, so if you throw that game out, the Broncos have not beaten the Chiefs since the Obama administration, I think. It's been that long. I might even go back to the 90s. All right.
Outplayed them in Arrowhead
you're
last year, Andrew. They got a blocked field goal. They
I
can
know,
beat that team.
but they didn't win the game. They didn't win the game. I believe in Sean Payton. I believe in the Broncos. However, I think the Chiefs beat them this week. We could talk about that game on Thursday, obviously. We got 2 more shows this week. I think the Chiefs beat them. And even if the game's in Denver, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes on the road as a wild card team. That's just me.
Maybe so. And here's why I'm still picking the Broncos to win the AFC West. They are the betting favorite, by the way. If all they got to do is win one game against the Chiefs, basically. I think this is sneaking up on people. I've been talking about it all week. If the Broncos win on Sunday, and obviously they can, they're at home, they're an 8-2 football team. The Chiefs are going to be 3.5 games behind them with 6 games to play. 7 games to play. The Chiefs, 6 for the Broncos.
Game and a half, and imagine
they're not getting
Monday.
Maybe, yes. It's a huge game. But basically, if the Broncos just split, all you got to do is split against the Chiefs. The Chiefs would have to be nearly perfect the rest of the way to catch you. And I still respect this Broncos. The defense is awesome. Offensive line is really, really good. And I truly believe Sean Payton is going to figure out something. This offense is not going to look so bad all the rest of the year. All they need to do is split against the Chiefs. If the Chiefs lose on Sunday, their AFC West, the string of 9 straight division titles, is probably coming to an end. I don't think people realize the stakes here. They need to win this game. And I think the Broncos know that. The Broncos know, hey, we can shut the door on these guys. Just win at home against the Kansas City Chiefs, and we are cruising to a division title the rest of the way. It's not like Patrick Mahomes couldn't make up a 3.5 game deficit. I ain't gonna bet on it though. I think the Broncos are going to split with the Chiefs and win the AFC West.
Jory, I'll give you the final thought.
Yeah, I think what's interesting to me is that I'm not sure who will win each of the Chiefs and Broncos regular season matchups. I agree with you. It would not be surprising if they split. It would not be surprising if the Broncos maintain their hold on the division. But I think when it comes to a playoff game, even in Denver, I mean, yes, the Broncos defense should be able to slow Patrick Mahomes, but I don't think they could stop them. And on the flip side of the ball, Bo Nix has been inconsistent. I get that actually, if you look at his stats between the 2 years, they're very similar year over year. The problem is his passer rating is 23.6 points higher in the fourth quarter than the first 3, according to Next Gen Stats. And so, yes, he keeps having these like miraculous comebacks in the fourth quarter, but do you think that Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs defense are going to allow that? I think it's too late when you get to that point against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I just haven't given up. I haven't given up on Sean Payton. Sean Payton's the X factor here.
I agree.
Do we really think Sean Payton, that offense we saw Thursday night, do we really think Sean Payton is putting that offense out there all season? Like, I just feel like Sean Payton's one of the great coaches
No, we just think against the Chiefs defense, it's too much.
Yeah.
But I think if you get that offense
these are different concepts.
This is a really good team.
I know they're a good team. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team, and I don't think they would beat the Chiefs with all the money on the table when we get to January. Like, both can be true. And there's a great number floating around last week, and maybe I'll bring it back tomorrow if I could dig it up. Comparing yards per attempt the last 2 years, Bo Nix compared to Trevor Lawrence. And when the number gets to like 5.5, which is not good, right? Bo Nix is like 12-2, and Trevor Lawrence is like 5-20 or something like that, showing you the difference in defenses. Now, that said, I would take Bo Nix in the fourth quarter over Trevor Lawrence any day, right? In his second year, Bo Nix has that clutch gene in the fourth quarter, and I love it. And look at last week. We didn't see that from Trevor Lawrence. So there are other factors at play here, just comparing those two. One final thought. As we head into week number 11, my guy Joe Ferreira, follow him on X. He's great. He used to do all the tiebreakers for the National Football League. He points out this week, sent a note on Twitter, that there are actually elimination scenarios this week, not to be eliminated from the postseason as a whole, but in the AFC, if Tennessee loses to the Texans, the Titans in week 11 are officially eliminated from winning the AFC South. I know, Andrew, they already are. But really, you have a scenario
don't crush
this week.
Nashville fans' hopes.
No, same for the Raiders. They cannot win the West if they lose to the Cowboys on Monday night. And if the Broncos and the Chargers both win, the Raiders are out of consideration in the West. And there are also scenarios for the Jets, the Dolphins, the Browns, and the Giants to be eliminated from consideration for the number 1 overall seed in their conference. I know. Feel free to laugh. Whatever you want.
I will, yeah.
My point being, it's that time of the year.
Yep.
We got scenarios. We'll come back with Quentin Lake on Wednesday, everybody. Thank you for watching Inside Coverage. For Jori, for Frank, Frank's brackets officially hit Yahoo on Wednesday. My name is Andrew Siciliano. So long.